on to the final thing we're going to talk about on Netflix and Friends this week, and I'm going to talk about Doom Patrol on ITVX. And Doom Patrol, this is a show, it's finished now. It's had about 5 seasons, I think. And but when it was originally released, because it's a comic book film, it's a comic book TV show. When it was originally released, it was put in a place where, from my point of view, you just couldn't watch it. I kept hearing about this show, but couldn't watch it anywhere because it was on DC while they were trying to catch up with Marvel. They essentially started up their own, from what I can understand, started up their own streaming platform called DC Universe. So you have to go and get another streaming platform just to watch this show. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then it showed up on HBO Max in the US, but I don't really think it's been anywhere on TV here. I couldn't find it. But now ITVX have been performing a service which they have seemed to be going around and grabbing all these things that were on other streaming platforms that were difficult to grab a hold of, and they're like, ta-da, we've got it. And ITVX brought Doom Patrol, and I watched the first season of it, and I am so thankful that they got this show. Because honestly, this is a comic book show almost for people who do not like comic books, because it's a comic book show that knows it's a comic book show, knows that it has all these pitfalls it could fall into. The first season has a narrator played by Alan Tudyk, which immediately gives it extra points because because he is amazing, and he plays this character called Mr. Nobody, who during the Second World War goes and gets infused with powers because he wants to be something, and then so he is aware of everything that's going on, and he continually talks about this show, and he says, "This is what you want, isn't it? You want some big final confrontation? Well, here it comes." and he's commenting the whole way through about what this is. And Doom Patrol is pretty much like, it is arguable that they are what Marvel ripped off to make the X-Men. So you meet all these different characters, and all these different characters who have powers, so to say, but their powers are not seen as a good thing. This is essentially like a horror-inflected thing. Every single one of them, something horrific happened to them, which led to them having these powers. And the powers are not particularly like great, hey, look, I can fly. The powers are, in the most part, horrific. So you have like Brendan Fraser, because this is one of the first things Brendan Fraser did when he was coming back into acting. He plays a racing car driver called Cliff Steele, who through many different things ends up being a brain inside a robot. So he's you have Matt Bomer, who plays like a fighter pilot in the 40s 50s in America, who because it's Matt Bomer, and I think Matt Bomer went through a period of being a heartthrob and everything like that, and I think where he had to, he wasn't really allowed, it wasn't encouraged that he let everybody know he was gay. When he was in shows like, White Collar and everything, people were just kind of like, ooh, who is that guy? He could be James Bond and everything like that. But now I think everything that he does, he is trying very much to sort of like bring that to the fore. So he plays a character who is closeted in the 50s, who is closeted in the 50s. He has a wife and 2 kids, but it's all about, he ends up having this sort of negative spirit that enters him, and it's about what happens. And as you go through it, like in the sort of like, you have Diane Guerrero, who plays a character who has 64 different personalities, and each one of the personalities has their own power. You have April Bowlby, who plays she was a 50s actress who ended up having an accident, and she every now and then she sort of like dissolves into like a blob of mess and just sort of walks around. And so you have this thing with her where she is because April Bowlby does look like a 50s star. Like if you wanted to talk about your Barbara Stanwicks and stuff, like April Bowlby looks like that. But every now and then, because you have this woman who's so concerned about her appearances, and her power, so to say, is that every now and then when she gets emotionally heightened, she dissolves into a blob. into like, and I'm thinking like the 1950s movie, a blob, it just goes around swallowing things up, and she has to eat like 5 chickens a day and stuff like that. And you have got Timothy Dalton playing the Professor X character. I mean, honestly, I don't understand how this show was so quiet for so long. Well, over here, I mean, it has but this is a show that I would recommend. Essentially, it lets you know it's not your regular comic book show, because within 5 minutes you see somebody's bare bum like going up and down. You hear the F-bomb liberally being used. The F bomb is liberally used throughout this thing. These characters, they keep talking about the fact that how they are not actually a superhero team. They are just clueless and they're just trying to figure out what's going on. And the plot, beside the point, the plot is just an excuse to have these characters bounce off each other. And it is glorious. This show is glorious, and I can't believe that more people weren't talking about it. And I can't believe that it's taken up till now, 5 years after it first showed up on the thing, for ITVX to come and take it and put it on there. I would go watch Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is so much fun. It's so much fun. Yes, Oscar thing. No, Doom Patrol is so much fun. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. For that, this is for season 1. I've started watching season 2. I think that it is honestly one of the best superhero adaptations in the last 5 years. It is so well done. I mean, and essentially, I'll tell you how it's so well done that it gives you the feeling that the executives weren't really watching when they made this show. That nobody in charge was actually supervising them and watching them while they made the show. So they were kind of like, okay, we're just going to do this and see if they let us get away with it. And then, oh, look, we got away with it. And afterwards, people were like, what? What did you do? Because they do things to characters that, you can't imagine that if this was a tentpole thing, they wouldn't let them do. But it's like nobody was watching while they were making this show, and it is brilliant and it is glorious. And watch it if nothing else for Alan Tudyk. Oh God!
Oh, I love him. He makes me so happy.
I just forgot. I mean, where else are you going to find a show in which you have a fire and brimstone preaching cockroach? A fire and brimstone preaching cockroach, voiced by Curtis Armstrong. It is brilliant. It is brilliant. All right. There is a rat, like a literal rat, who never speaks English, just squeaks with subtitles, who is out for revenge for the death of his mother.
I need to see this.
I think we might be having to check this out now.
No, honestly, no, Doom Patrol. Go watch it. 4 out of 5. Love it.